Given that Tesla and Solar City are your response, in a sense, among other things, to climate change, how do you answer politicians who say that they're not sure it's actually happening?
Okay. Well, I think the climate debate is an interesting one. So if you ask any scientist, are you sure that human activity is causing global warming? Any scientist should say no, because you cannot be sure. So on the other hand, if you said, do you think we should put an arbitrary number of trillions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere and just keep doing it until something bad happens, they'll probably say no too. We essentially are running an experiment, and that experiment is to test the carbon capacity of the oceans and atmosphere. Now, that experiment may turn out to be fine. It may also turn out to be really bad. And I just don't understand why we would run that experiment. Particularly when you consider that at some point we have to get to something that is sustainable. We have to have sustainable production of energy and consumption of energy. Because tautologically, if it's unsustainable, you will run out of it. And you can simply say, well, let's say hypothetically CO2 was good for the environment. And let's say hypothetically the United States possessed all the oil in the world. Well, you'd still have to get off oil because it's a finite resource. And as you start to run out of it, the scarcity would drive the cost up and cause economic collapse. So why not do it sooner? And I'm not saying that it needs to be a radical or immediate change, or that people need to now inject a great deal of misery into their lives to avoid CO2. But we should lean in that direction. We should lean in the direction of supporting technologies that are sustainable and lean slightly against technologies that are unsustainable. That just seems pretty sensible, even if environment isn't a factor. And in fact, my interest in electric vehicles predates the current climate issue. I mean, I was interested in electric vehicles sort of 20 years ago when nobody was really talking about global warming, because I just thought it was the obvious means of transport. But I do think the climate thing does add urgency to things, and I do think we will see quite a significant increase in the cost of oil. Just from a demographic standpoint, you've got China and India and a few other countries that represent almost half the world's population and have very few cars on the road, but are rapidly adding cars to the road. And so you can expect a doubling of demand, and I think it's going to be difficult to achieve a doubling of supply.